Halle Bailey also alleges DDG creeped her out in March when he showed up at her home, entered without permission, went to her bedroom, and texted a pic of Halle's empty bed to her, along with a text, "Now I know what you've been on, LOL." Halle says she interpreted the text as DDG accusing her of having sex with other people. This goes on to read, 4 days later, she claims he really exploded when he came back to her house. Halle told him she and the baby were sick. This is around the time that her and the baby were laid up and DDG could not see the baby, and she didn't want Halo to leave home. And she claimed that when he got verbally abusive, smashed her ring cam and ran away with Halle's phone. As he drove off, she claims DDG threw the phone out the window and yelled to her, "Go get it." The incident prompted Halle to go file a police report, and she says she also has ring footage to back up her side of the story. Now, these are a lot of damning allegations, all stemming from a relationship gone awry. You know, that situation where there's two people that were broken up, there's a baby involved, and now they're fighting back and forth. All this is, like, really disgusting, but also very common. That ring camera footage, though, Daryl, if she has that ring camera footage, Daryl, you're a cook, Daryl.
You too, what it do? It's your boy Benji, and we back with the crew. If you're new, please don't forget to subscribe. Man, obviously, it's looking rough. The internet it couple at one point is under super hot heat because it's almost been a battle of the genders. Honestly, since the inception of these two people, because it was almost as if there was no clear-cut sign that this woman who's looked at to be so quiet, reserved, sweet, kind, and cool would align with this guy who's energetic, erratic, and at the end of the day shares all his information online. This seemed like it was completely a match made out of nothing. But as we got to be introduced to the couple via red carpets, via the internet, etc., it seemed like this was the couple to be. This is the couple that was exalted. And unfortunately, like all good things, it must come to an end. These two ended up having a kid, and the internet was, of course, divisive and picked sides really, really, really early. A lot of the internet, in regards to Halle Bailey's fans, were saying that DDG was a bum, and I mean, we all know that not to be true. And of course, a lot of the fans on DDG's side were actually people that were mentioned that DDG needed to be watched himself. DDG needed to be careful. And referencing this ring camera video footage, oh my goodness, I will say, these are some heavy allegations. And the only thing I like to bring up, we've seen this before. Y'all remember this? A Manhattan jury found actor Jonathan Majors guilty of assaulting and harassing his ex-girlfriend. So in a trial that we saw deliberate over, a year, that took down at the time, at like the height of his career, actor Jonathan Majors, he was charged with multiple attempts of assault, and I think out of the charges he was found guilty of 2. They determined that Majors recklessly but not intentionally injured Jabari and harassed her outside of the SUV after the altercation. And he sat emotionless in court as the verdict was read. The powers of public perception are legit. And we saw, as this case deliberated, plenty of people online went back and forth about whether or not Majors was in the right, Majors was in the wrong. And after video evidence started to come out, after there was more that leaked onto the internet in regards to the deliberation of the jury, majority of the public perception was that Major's in the right. Oh yeah. There was a video of him running away from the woman who was chasing after him erratically down a street in Manhattan. We said, oh, yeah. Nobody who's the aggressor in the situation would be acting like the way he's acting. Unfortunately, it's very, very, very important with who you deal with and how you handle yourself, because this one was in a scenario that, and at the end of the day, while she could have been the aggressor, while she could have been in the wrong, the law protected her. And eventually this all culminated with, I think it was a Uber or a Lyft or whatever that was called, a driver at the very least that was called in order to take this woman away or take her home because she was drunk. Majors called prior to the incident. He called after the incident. Didn't matter. When video footage released, we all said, oh yeah, this guy who we're starting to link to an incident of violence. It's not the one that's domineering over this woman or anything like that. But when Majors was trying to get the woman back into the car, maybe he was just a little too aggressive. The woman cut herself and hurt her finger. Look at that. Even the defense team was saying that the only thing that was broken in the back of the SUV was Grace's heart. But the jurors did see photos of what doctors confirmed were Jabari's broken finger and lacerated ear. And she said that Majors was the one that inflicted those injuries on her in order to retrieve his phone. The defense even showed video of Jabari partying at a nightclub less than an hour later with strangers that she met in the creek. So not only did you supposedly go through this big incident, but there was a video of you turning up with randoms right afterward. At the end of the day, there was enough evidence to convict Majors on 2 counts, reckless assault and harassment. And ultimately, it was the way he handled himself, the very, very, very nitty-gritty details of how he handled himself. He thought he could just run away. He thought he did all the right things in order to call and the police. He thought he did all the things in order to protect himself. Unfortunately, the straw was the way he tried to restrain the woman and how aggressively he put her into the car. So he didn't face any jail time. But at the very end of the day, he now has assault next to his name as a charge. And I only bring this up as an instance to say there's video footage, there was proof and everything that seemed to corroborate his side of the story. Unfortunately, he didn't handle it 100% correctly. And in real time, it seems as if there was nothing that he could have done other than keep his hands off. And at the end of the day, just fall victim to some bunches, some blows, etc. That seemed like it was the only thing that was going to be done. Obviously, this incited a little bit of a race debate amongst people online. But I want to bring this up to say, of course, even though there was footage that seemed to corroborate with what Major's team was saying, he still fell victim to a couple of counts. Meaning, DDG is going to be very, 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 very difficult to sway, 1, the public opinion, but 2, weasel your way out of this, especially when we're talking about custody of a child. Because at the end of the day, that's the entire goal of all this. Custody of the child and you staying far, far, far away.
This is why I don't be dealing with people who got kids. I never date with somebody who has a child under the age of 5 years old. They still got so much going on in that past relationship that is unresolved, but that's another story for another day. Further in the TMZ article, it reads, in doctors first got physical in January.
Why did he throw that out there? What the freak? I see what he's saying, though. There's a lot of times scenarios when there's 2 parties involved, and even though it seems as if one party is not there, sometimes you got to ask yourself why. So there's definitely a lot that you have to consider yourself when you're jumping into a relationship with a person who does have a child, especially when you're younger.
They broke up back in October, and Halle says DDG came over to pick up their son Halo, and she tried to start a conversation with the rapper about a child visitation schedule. I think what doesn't help DDG in a lot of these situations is that a lot of this has been for public consumption over the past couple of months. It seems like if these situations are true and as how they are described, these situations will happen, and then DDG will either go to stream or maybe even before stream have some sort of conversation alluding to a lot of these situations that are being laid out in these documentations.
So the timeline will line up with whatever she's stating. I think that's the biggest thing.
Buckling Halo into the car seat, she claims DDG grew agitated and repeatedly said, "Get out of my car." Halle says the baby was crying and she got nervous about DDG leaving with him in such an agitated state. That's when they allegedly started wrestling, with DDG pulling her hair, slamming her face on a steering wheel, and chipping her too. Halle says she was in pain and crying, and although that stopped the fighting, she was still worried about Halo. So,
how do you go from buckling a baby in who's probably in the backseat to steering wheel? How do you get there?
She remained in the car for the ride over to DDG's house, where she told him.
Oh, she remained in the car.
Once they told her they would take care of the baby, she left hysterically with bruises on her arm to accompany her trip. She attached photos of her injuries in her request for restraining order. The judge granted a domestic violence restraining order, requiring DDG to stay 100 yards, and gave her permission to take nearly 18-month-old Halo to Italy while she'll be filming a movie for 2 months. DDG also has to stop posting or streaming about her and their child. Halle claims her ex has been whipping his fans into a frenzy by trashing her when he live streams. Now, we've seen how that last last statement played across a couple months ago where DDG came to the internet and basically spilled all of this tea for the past couple of months for his fans to then make assumptions, make commentary videos like we did on this channel, make, you know, their streaming clips and all this other stuff, and essentially galvanize his audience.
Every single day or every other day, I'm trying to see him. I'm trying to get him to come over or whatever. I never get him dropped off. I always go pick him up. I live far as shit, so I'm driving hours to go get him, and then I get there and I can't get him. I can't see him. My son is sick right now. I want to see my son. I want to hold my son. I want to, you know what I'm saying? I just want to comfort him. I want to put him in the shower, get some steam in his nose so he can feel better. I don't get the chance to do that. I get pinned against the wall, and then everything else is variables on why I can't see my son. It don't have nothing to do with me working, by the way. I'm not gonna air out her business, but me and her has not been together for a long time. Like, I don't know what it is, but it's been going on for a minute where I just never got on the internet and said nothing. I mean, I might like throw like little subliminals or some shit like that, but it's like, bro, like, I don't want to get on the internet.
And that's the problem. Brother, you got on the internet. And it's very stream clip. You got on the internet with however many live viewers. And then the clips went viral. So you know plenty of people was in her DMs, in her comments, confused and bewildered as to what she was doing. So that incited a war of the fans. Very unfortunately, plenty of people at the time were arguing that somebody should have went to court in order to handle this dispute. And instead of you maybe leaving these breadcrumbs online, maybe you should have went to the court, because at the end of the day, one of the parties did go to court. And there's going to be a clear winner when it comes to that.
Now, let me take a brief moment here to be very, very serious and very, very candid about stuff like this. This is why on this channel, especially when it comes to young families, when it comes to relationships, when it comes to people with their children involved like this, I don't like talking about stuff like this. I don't like giving my true opinions, because it does not ultimately matter. There is so much that is being left out of the story. These people are going to make their own.
It's facts. Like he's saying. I liken the situation to a Jonathan Major situation, because at the end of the day, that was a famous person dealing with someone who wasn't quite as famous. Well, actually, not really at nearly the level. Now you're dealing with two people, two parties that are famous. Regardless, that was a scenario where a lot of the perception or the belief was this man was in the right in regards to physical abuse. But there were certain, like I said, breadcrumbs the jury was able to find and come to a conclusion. Because like I said, there's going to be a winner and a loser when it comes to this, unfortunately. And when you look at it objectively, somebody's in the right, somebody's in the wrong. And then there was probably somebody is in the middle. And that's the decision the judge came to, and the jury. Now, when you have a situation here where you're involving children, and these are two parties that are famous, it's no joke. And obviously, as much as we believe DDG shares online, we don't even know the half of what goes on in his life. We don't know nothing that goes on in Halle Bailey's life. We only know what we see, what they allow us to see. So again, public perception of these two people is only what we can gather based on the things that they put online. Otherwise, we would know nothing. If they really wanted to, they could have went and had a whole entire relationship, and none of us would have known anything about it. I remember Halle Bailey was pregnant, and she went on for months not letting the internet know that she was pregnant. She continued to downplay any ideologies or thoughts or assumptions that she was pregnant. So when she had the baby, she said, "Oh yeah, guys, I actually was pregnant." So if they wanted to construct a story, they can. They very well did. But we know nothing unless they tell us. And now that DDG has been warned to not talk about the situation, then nothing that we will know. We're not going to hear his side. We're not going to hear her side from the horse's mouth. We're just going to see the court documents, and we're going to see everything play out in the courtroom.
Own decisions. They have so much behind the scenes drama that we can't properly make an opinion, as if it's even our place or space to make an opinion about such topics. DDG said that he was leaving out stuff. I'm sure that there's stuff that Halle herself is even left out, whether it be for better or for worse. I do not know. But what I do not like is when people get across the internet, and maybe they have met her in some celebrity regards who are commenting on her, but maybe they haven't. I find it strange who has commented and who hasn't, which we'll talk about in a second, but I don't like commentating on this stuff because I know how relationships can go. I know that people can do toxic things to each other. The most extreme things to each other, and then when you give your 2 cents and input, those people end up back in the arms of the person who is doing the toxic things to them because of love or the bigger picture, like their children or whatever the case may be. All I'm saying is I don't really know this situation, and I'm not gonna sit here and judge it so harshly, make sweeping claims or indictments. There's damning evidence against Daryl if these pictures are lining up to be true or whatever the case may be. So that's really harsh, but I'm not gonna make any sweeping indictments. I just don't know, and it's clear that stuff is being left out of the story. Now, naturally, because DDG is the internet's guy, this news has made all of his internet friends and homeboys come to the stand for Daryl. They have had to come to the forefront and galvanize not only their audience, but anybody else's audience who feels a certain way about these man versus women relationship.
And he's right, Omizi here. It doesn't matter what these guys do. Hey, look, I want y'all to understand this. I want y'all to understand it doesn't matter. At the end of the day, the decisions are going to be made in that courtroom. Whether you guys want to try and repair this character online or repair her character or tarnish her character, whatever the case may be, doesn't matter. It's going to be their relationship that's going to be put front and center in front of the judge, and it's going to be, again, where things went wrong. They're going to be put in front of the judge. So again, if there's physical abuse, brother, you going right under. And if there wasn't, then I mean, again, it's going to be up to the jury in order to decide.
Et cetera, and get them.
End of the day, there's going to be a determination made about who gets custody of the child, and that's unfortunate that there's a child in the middle of all this.
To just go against Halle. I've seen a lot of stuff that has gone against Halle, and this is from people who
It's
I would
crazy.
never even think would support Daryl.
Halle claims DDG. If they can't win the public narrative, they make the accusations. Oh my God.
I make fun of DDG all the time. I think he's stupid. I think he's low IQ, but I don't think he's over here beating on his chick. And if he is, that's some pussy shit.
Yeah, he doesn't give
But
vibes.
but he doesn't. Yeah, he doesn't give me woman beater vibes, bro. To be honest with you. And here's the thing: if he ain't smacked the shit out of Ruby Rose, I doubt that he would smack the shit out of that chick. Because Ruby Rose
This dude is crazy.
is literally a thought, big thought. And someone, I think Zia told a story one time of how she like yanked his chain and like it ripped, and he didn't hit her after that. He wanted to, but he didn't. So if he could restrain himself there, DDG doesn't strike me as a woman beater. So.
Oh man, wise words from a decent man. I didn't expect him to say that. Now I know that they're going to be the defenders in the conversation who are blindly following DDG's side or blindly following Halle's side, but I'm telling y'all, just sit back. At the end of this, you can make your judgments and judgments, but best believe that there's somebody playing some game somewhere, and we're going to find out who it is in no.
Especially entertainment, man. There's going to be so many people that release information sparingly. They're going to season it in there, sprinkle it in there. Of course, like I said, at the end of the day, the intent is in order to try and frame what we see as the public, in order to try and justify claims or at least paint a picture of how we should perceive this situation. That's it. That's all it's going to be.
I was in the video of DDG's reaction to the restraining order with Aiden Ross, and I thought to myself, I'm not going to be shamed. I'm not going to be flim-flammed.
Bro, and I think it's unfortunate because, dude, I think when all this stuff came out originally and I saw like the headlines, I said, man, regardless of what he did or didn't do, I thought to myself, could this be a clout play? And unfortunately, come from this individual's behalf. We've seen the lengths that this dude will go to in order to try and generate discussion about his name. I mean, we've seen it before. And the dude has manipulated his relationship, or at least the narrative about his relationship, in order to galvanize interest about whatever he was trying to put out that time, whether it's song or anything like that. And I think it's unfortunate because that's the first thing that came to my head. I said, is this legit? Not because of the claims that she was making, but because it was suspiciously linked to the timing of his music. And I hate that it's gotten to that point. So we even see the point of him finding out about this on stream. It's unfortunate.
But don't even. You remember we talked about last night? Fuck all that. Yo, stop these fake allegations. This is a father. This is a real person. It's a good human being.
But I don't
But hey, bro, we on stream, bro.
Come on, like I gotta be.
Just don't do it, bro. Come here. Fuck all that. That's my real friend. We're not gonna do no false shit to ruin the stream. He's a great human being. He does a lot for a lot of people.
To ruin the stream.
He's a father, and we're gonna respect him. We're gonna love him. WDDG, and fuck anyone who got anything to say. Chad, DD is not gonna come on the stream. He's just gotta go handle what he gotta handle. So all love to my brother. We will figure something out to redo this. All love.
Now, from everything that I've read, the person who is getting the police restraining order filed against them has to be notified before the trial even commences. consequences. Like, say somebody were to file a restraining order on me. I'm not going to find out after the situation happens. That's not how it works. If somebody were to go today and file a restraining order on me, I would be notified that, hey, there's a complaint. You need to come to court or whatever the case may be. But there's something out there against you that is saying that somebody wants a restraining order. And then we have the results. I think the idea was that it was a fake narrative that there is a restraining order or that he was doing these things. But it almost seemed as if DDG was surprised to get the news that this was even a possibility. But he knew. Look, this is why I'm saying stay out of it. I'm telling you, stay out of it. It does.
Facts. Again, like he says, there are going to be plenty things in play in order to have us take a side. We don't know what we don't know.
Doesn't line up. And now we're in the midst of the internet social media game where people are looking at Halle Bailey's text messages and tweets and the stuff that she submitted to the judge as far as evidence goes. This is that she took Halo to some sort of vacation island, Bahamas, with her sister, and Brent Faiyaz. Even though there was some claims about, you know, Halle texting DDG that she wasn't with any other man, but then Brent Faiyaz was supposedly there. But even DDG's proof, as these text messages read, is that he got this off the internet and just wanted to verify that this situation were to be real. Look, we've been following DDG and Halle Bailey for the past couple of months, and if there's one thing that I do know is that this is more complex than has led to believe. There's been so many situations with Halo being allowed on the stream, off the stream, getting reunited, potentially to him for, you know, because the baby was sick. There's so much that goes on in these relationships that it's hard to follow. And I'm telling you, the relationships are some of the most complicated things, but what adds to it is when public people have public relationships, and now the court of public opinion gets the opportunity to make their opinions on said relationships. Now, what I've seen for the past couple of months is people do and say some of the weirdest things when it comes to their relationships.
I see you trying to defend her. That's a good move, by the way, but let me tell you what happens next. If she can't paint you as a deadbeat dad, which you're not, I'm going to warn you this. The next step is for her to say you were abusive. I want to be very clear. And she just tried, yo, why is my baby dad doing that? And I don't approve of it. And nobody did. And unless you about to get back with her and go into whatever regime she wants you to get down with, her next attempt will not be as fluky. Women like this don't stop. You dodged this one, but you got to wait for the bigger one she about to do.
That was academics reacting a couple months ago when Halle Bailey took to the internet and galvanized her own audience for the behavior of DDG taking, you know, Halo, his son, onto Kais in that stream, claiming that this was, you know, bad or whatever the case may be. She was totally wrong in that situation, and even admitted that she was wrong in that situation. The way that people were reacting, how academics made that jump and leap is insane. I know people will potentially circle back to this in a couple months ago, and these whole, oh, it was so predictable, warning signs. Look, we can't keep doing that. That gives validity to these conversations. We got to stop. We don't know these people.
Imagine if you have like a BM, nigga, and you gotta pay her rent, nigga. She taking niggas over there, you gonna be cool? No. You gonna stop paying the rent?
Duh, nigga, what the fuck you
What
mean?
about the kid? The kid gonna be homeless.
No, the kid not. See, I don't plan on having a baby mama.
What
That's-
you mean? You don't never
I'm not gonna
plan
have no
on
baby
getting-
mama, bro. Whoever I have a kid with, she's with me for life. It ain't like
Yeah.
I don't care what nobody say. I don't care what
It
nobody.
all starts like that.
I'm not having.
Sometimes the kid
It's coming for two dudes who are in that situation.
break y'all up. Sometimes the kid be the reason y'all break up.
Now, I don't think that Blueface was giving any sort of prediction as to his current
Right,
relationship
right.
with Halle at the time. I think he was just more so having
Just talking.
man talk. We talked
Exactly.
about things like that. Hey, what's going on in your relationship? What would you do in this hypothetical to see, et cetera, how you would handle it. But I think that a lot of people attributing this to them being some sort of Nostradamus are only saying this because they have their own feelings about Halle Bailey. I know that there are some people that hate these billionaire relationships. They're damn near low-key red pill minded in that fact because they don't think that these people should be with any women or any family or whatever the case may be. But they are just projecting their feelings. I wish more people would be like DDG's sister. Like, this is his actual sister. Asked about the situation yesterday. I hate that we have this much insight too. I promise you, we should know much about this relationship. I cannot stress that enough.
I've already seen the TMZ post, and I'm not going to speak on it. So, yeah.
I'm way more concerned about what they were eating than what
Yeah, I don't know what that was. That was like a pancake burger.
she was saying. What was that, a big pancake taco? I think there's a lesson in all this. We've seen in the past couple of
Yeah, that's his sister. At the end of the day, that's his sister. But she is not in their relationship to understand exactly what's going on. And why is she going to comment on anything online? Hey, this is in courts. This is in the hands of the law. No need for me to try to speak for anybody that's my brother or speak against my brother. I don't know them. So none of us do either. So all of us trying to make a prediction about her character, his character, none of us know.
years when people get into public relationships that there are complexities that are beyond our grasp as people who are just onlookers, whether it be the relationship with Johnny Depp and Amber Heard, Jonathan Majors and Grace Jabari, Meg Thee Stallion and Tory Lanez, and now DDG and Halle Bailey. A lot of those.
And there you go. In all those scenarios, there were a myriad of things that led to the downfall of each relationship, and we only got to see what we got to see. End of the day, again, the jury and the judge all make the ultimate decision. And amidst the trial or amidst the situation, there's things that go on and they go down that yield a certain result. At the end of the day, all we know is what we know. That's it. Now, unfortunately, some of these people have to lose in their quest of trying to find out the truth, or trying to at least get to an answer, or trying to get to a direction. There's a lot of these guys, Johnny Depp, Jonathan Majors, who lost a lot whilst undergoing these trials. That's what happens.
Those situations had
It's unfortunate.
Use. I mean, people getting shot at, fights, you know, words being thrown, people going
relationships
back
are so
to
crazy.
situations that seemed to be toxic for a long time, and ultimately they came to this precipice. At the end of the day, us as public consumers should not be the ones that are parasocial as hell, butting into these relationships, calling these people names, this, that, and the third, making sweeping judgments and statements. I've seen people on the internet thrash DDG for the longest time over the past couple of months, and now feel vindicated because there's this initial restraining order. Now this gives them the freedom to say whatever they want to say. Like, I think that shit is totally out of pocket, especially with the limited knowledge that we do know. Now look, Halle Bailey has made claims. There is photo evidence, and there has to be a reason that the judge granted the restraining order. Fine. If you want to take it from there, that's totally fine. Starting to bring in woo-wop into this situation, how he's this person, X, Y, and Z, judgments of character when you do not know him, is strange to me. The people on the other side claiming that Halle Bailey is a part of the Rock Nation collective who wants to destroy DDG because his music is becoming more popular, that stuff is weird to me. These are complex dynamics, complex relationships, and we as public consumers should not be in this. If DDG did do these things, which again, there's evidence right now that is stating that he did do these things, apparently there will be more evidence to come, then man, another one. But as of right now, based off of what we have, all I can say to people who are looking for some voice of reason to just break down this whole situation, stay out of it. Stay out of it.
Others just made another viral tweet. Hold on, let me check this out real quick. Bruh, even the way this is framed under this post, academics is crazy. DDG broke down on and ended stream with 80,000 live viewers after watching while trying to do a giveaway with his fans who have been supporting him after the demonic Halle Bailey, that's crazy work, found a restraining order and took his son to Italy for 2 months. Fans are now questioning the validity of the allegations that Halle made against DDG. I mean, at the end of the day, her trying to ask for sole custody and monitor visits for like 6 hours. This dude having a kid for 6 hours a week and being monitored while doing so is kind of crazy work. But again, if what she's stating to be is fact, little brother, you're cooked.
Got one of these for y'all though. If y'all want an Amazon code.
It is crazy work. I understand this is a job. It's kind of crazy work to be undergoing like a whole case and just acting like nothing's going on. The internet is not real, guys.
We got to get this away a couple streams ago, so I'll just get this to y'all now. Get y'all Amazon ready. Top code if y'all want it.
But you know, some people are so fast, bro, when it came to getting this code. How much is up there? L Clip Farm needs to buy himself a sympathy after. Oh my goodness. I have no input on the ins and outs of people's relationships, especially when the truth is yet to be fully divulged. But every time I see and hear about you, you're always degrading, bash down, talking down about women. Yeah. Academics posts seem to be sick. It's a pattern. You're sorry, men. I mean, hey, we saw a claim alleged from Ruby Rose back in the day. What is Little Mermaid gaining from all this, honestly? Usually women do this to get government assistance. She doesn't need that. So why is she doing that? It has to be truth behind the way DDG treating her. I don't think she's asking for child support, but that could be something that she could be asking for down the line. You never have too much money to be getting child support. Kim Kardashian gets child support. She's a billionaire. Also, the very least, we could make an argument that this could be petty, but at the very least, if this dude is providing an unsafe environment for the child, she will be asking for the child. She's asking for sole custody of the child. Control. I used to work in this field and I've seen it too many times. Her worst fear was DDG bringing her son around another woman. As soon as DDG found out that she brought Halo around Brent, he had to let her know he would be doing the same. Next day, restraining order. Additionally, ooh. Oh my gosh, this is a lot. I reviewed all the documents. Halle never said DDG came at her and beat her up. She said they started wrestling. Halle tried to initiate a parenting time schedule with DDG when he picked Halo up. And that's why I said it's important. Semantics, bro. It's never in a situation that we traditionally view as abuse to be in, especially when you're talking about physical abuse. But at the end of the day, if you put your hands on her, I'm just trying to remove the child from your custody and ensure that we leave you in the past. We see this time and time again. So to get out of the car, she still wouldn't. Now ask yourself, how does her head even get close to the steering wheel at that point? Why is her face even in his car by the driver's side? My assumption based on common sense and experience is that she was trying to grab his keys so he wouldn't leave. She specifically says he started wrestling each other. Again, we don't know that. What are they wrestling for? For whatever they want to. If he's asking her to get out of his car, how does this happen? Somebody doesn't want to. She's clearly violating his space of property and he was trying to get her out. She got hurt in the process, and she says that at that point, things calmed down. She proceeded to stay in the car all the way to his family's house. So let me ask you this. If that was a woman driving, picking up her kid, and a man got in the car, and I understand that you could play the whole, if the roles reverse that thing, but at the end of the day, that's not how it works. Because there's typically a power dynamic. That's typically why it ends up typically favoring a certain party. End of the day, it's a lot going on. All you can do is hope for the best. And, they come to an amicable decision. And that the kid is not hurt in this process. Man, but it's wild. And let me know what y'all believe about this situation in the comment below. Let's, speak life in the very end to these parties involved. And hope it comes the best.